Got you.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Grammy. Free my brother. It's free to his back.
Look.
All right, welcome to another edition of RSG1 Mike. Please check us out on realsportsguys.com. Real Sports Guys on all social media platforms. Yeah, you've seen it right. It's the four screen. Some of y'all been hitting up with us for the past couple months, especially coming out of Maui Invitational. Yeah, we see that. That's what you see. You see, we got Coach Cecil with us in here having fun. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Y'all gonna find out a little bit more about Coach because he's played about 9,000 different sports. So he'll be a weigh in on everything from rugby to football to whatever we have going on. So we're bringing in. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
It's good to have you here. Then your partner on the Maui Invitational hung out with my man Darnell. How you doing, man?
Doing great.
Yeah, Darnell just came over, hung out with me for a minute. He had to run back home to get back in the studio thing. It's good to see you, brother. Doing the thing. See him in person, doing this thing. What's up? We got my man Hammer. Southside is in the building. Them Bulls took another hit, but you still here.
Man, I'm doing well. The Bulls have to blow it up and start over. Just patchwork, trying to put a piecemeal team together. It ain't working, obviously. So.
Yeah. We got it in them Bears. We have to say that stuff for another show. We'll get to that in the off season. We got a lot going on tonight. We're gonna talk about, and so we're gonna run here. In the open mic, we get open. We hit a whole bunch of different things. And we'll hit a couple topics, and then obviously with being Super Bowl week, we'll jump in on some of the Super Bowl stuff and have a little bit of fun with that. The there was we've been talking a lot about amateurism and in college athletics. That's been a part of our show from from the beginning. We've had people like Alan Sack on our show, Ramogi Huma, who worked his organization worked with the Northwestern players as they were attempting to unionize. They got pretty close to doing it. They took a vote, but with them being a public institution, it became an issue around jurisdiction. And now you have Dartmouth, who their men's basketball program has been cleared to unionize. Obviously, the institution is going to appeal, but the interesting part about this is a private institution. And so, in the world of NIL, in the world of a whole bunch of other stuff, we still have this element of around players looking for fair compensation as it relates to college athletics. This has been an age-old argument. It was one of the strategies that was used to uh, define student athletes back in the day when this came up through a lot of the lawsuits. And Alan Sack will talk a lot about that. Ramogi will talk a lot about that. But here we go again. I mean, college athletics with another. Cecil, you're in the middle of this now. You've been a college coach. Division III is a lot different, but you're connected across. You've been in a lot of different spaces. This has been an ongoing battle in college athletics around compensation of athletes and fairness and those things. With the idea of unionization, like what are you seeing with this, and do you see this as something that could be shaping where we go with college athletics?
Oh, this is a mixed bag for me. I mean, I go back and forth, not to cop or anything, but it's going to have, like everything, there's pros and cons to it. And I think from the one side of it, what I'm more concerned about is what's it going to do for the competition part of it. Are college players going to are they going to be able to handle, first of all, the notoriety, the money, and is it going to keep it balanced? Is it going to make teams balanced? Is it going to create a hierarchy between players and those types of things as it gets going on? What's it going to do for is it going to make it even more of a power surge for those teams that have the ability to do some of this stuff around the NIL? As far as unionization, I think one thing the Dartmouth players are going to find out is that this is a long process. They've won one battle, but they got a bunch more battles to go, and they're dealing with organizations and machines that know how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
The Dartmouth, because Dartmouth is private, and because Dartmouth isn't even a scholarship school, right? If the school decides to, they can put them down to club level, if it got too serious for them. And so the whole thing is kind of murky because of what avenues are available to schools. Or, again, if the schools decide just to go along with it, I'm afraid of what it'll do. And I don't use the word amateurism because that's not the case anymore. But what it's going to do just from a competitive side of it and the nature of team makeups. I'm concerned about team makeups. And, I remember I asked Coach Self about that when we were in Maui. I said, is this going to disrupt how you build your teams? His take on it was, no, in terms of getting the right people, give me the right player, and then I'll build them into my team. Well, we're going to talk about it later, but I don't know if that's happening so much with him right now.
Yeah.
With the NIL and the people he had transferred to his team, how that's really working out for him right now. So anyway, that, like I said, it's a mixed bag. I have my own mixed feelings about it as well. And the road, it's going to be a long road yet.
Yeah, and I mean, you hit it really, Hammer. You're on the legal side of this, your own background, but one of the things that I know Ramogi early on when he came on, a lot of it became down initially, even more than the compensation was around benefits and health. Particularly as they look for football, learn terms of effects of the sport and how can we build in benefits that would support athletes, dealing with injuries that they got in college long after they left, are there ways to build it? So it became more of a benefits thing early on, even before it got into this idea around compensation. And I think that's where, when Ramogi then was pushing towards the unionization, it was more around, less about the compensation, more around the benefits that employees get, particularly around health, insurance, and those kind of things, right? That was the driving force. But with the NIL piece coming in, as you said, it makes it really murky. And the idea, like you point out, as being an Ivy League school, they have a lot of flexibility. Like you're right, they could push it down to a club sport. There could be a lot of ways they could pivot out of it. But that was the initial thing, and we kind of lost sight of that part of it, of what they were trying to do, and got so much into the name, image, and likeness part that became a later part of the argument. Uh, Carl, right in your own backyard, Northwestern and unionization. You and I understand the effects of attack on unionization in the state of Wisconsin. Like we've seen, like a road and just, but what it's meant, as a state that was the place where it birthed the whole idea around unions. Your perspective on this and where you think it could potentially go.
I think that definitely what's happening is that the reality is coming to grips is that there's no more amateurism anymore, as Brother Cecil talked about. And so you really have to craft a market where, like other sports, where tennis, soccer, where young men and women are able to turn pro much earlier, and they'll have these arbitrary rules. And I think we can admit are targeted to men and women of color to deny their opportunities. And so NIL is definitely, and unionism, I think, definitely expands opportunities. But there's things you talk about. Benefits is a double-edged sword, because right now students aren't paying the type of benefits they would pay if they were actually employees.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that they need to understand, is that if you have to pay benefits and not get supported by your institution, because benefits are made more affordable by pooling people together, you're going to have a situation where you're paying an absorbent amount of benefits. You're paying for surgeries you need out of pocket, and all the money that you thought you were getting in the NIL system is going to be for naught, because it's going to be all gobbled up by exorbitant benefits and benefits that are not supported like they are normally, because you are a student athlete now, and you are pooled with all of your college students at the university. And so they need to understand that. So, and you can't have it both ways where you want these benefits but don't understand the cost of the benefits. And so that's the thing that really young men and women need to understand. And if they do unionize, they need to make sure the benefits they're pooled into the benefits, and they have the same. They need to look at the things that they are losing and the things they're gaining, and develop a cost benefit analysis where unionization will be a plus based on these factors. And so it cannot be just knee jerk where the union, I support unions, you know that, we support unions, but bottom line is that if you have a unionization that is cost prohibitive to you, that's going to be a problem. And so they need to think through that, strategize through that, make sure who's representing them understands that, and not have the fool's goal just join a union to join a union, but join a union who are definitely getting cost benefits weighed out as far as more cost and benefits, and you're able to use this as a tool to set you up for life. So
Yeah, and I, and you raised the issue because in obviously this probably started even before the NIL was finalized, but in the NIL world, even at a place like Dartmouth, there's creative ways they could do something with them in ways that probably give them more benefits, particularly when you have a pretty well-to-do and supportive alumni base. There's some creativity in which you could really be benefiting in much more important ways where you get all of it, like you said, and you don't get really tied up into all the issues around unionizing versus really leveraging the network of Dartmouth and the connections in ways that they can amplify. No, it's not going to be LSU, but it doesn't need to be when you in Dartmouth. People are coming to these models that are built around real estate opportunities for folks. Like there's a lot of they're being really creative around these things, and it would probably be better in a case like Dartmouth to really leverage those things where you can really tap into the wealth of the network, right, in a way
yeah,
that doesn't confine you in ways that unionization might confine you. So
because full
Darnell, you're young.
disclosure,
Go ahead.
full disclosure, I was admitted to Dartmouth
Yeah,
and got a nice package and had an interview right downtown and
yeah,
Mag Mile. And so the Dartmouth network is amazing. So again, you need to make sure that the opportunities that you're trying to get
yeah,
are going to be able to be utilized in, again, the place you're at and in the academic district you're at, because Dartmouth is Ivy League, and you have a lot of connections where if you were to stay in the rules or stay in the current rules and not try to challenge things in the union, you could get better benefits than
yeah,
you have with the union. So that's
yeah,
something that, again, need to look at. So
yeah, yeah. Darnell, you're youngin', and you're working with these young folks. When you see something like this, what came to mind with you, with this whole idea around
Well,
unionization versus NIL?
yeah. So really, just like Carl was saying, I was thinking that there's going to be a give and take with this, and I was thinking about the effects that it might have on the landscape of college sports overall. Like, well, can this be a thing that could happen at other D1 colleges? The Power Five, G5. They adapt a model where the players are now considered employees. There are benefits that can come from that, but there are also some drawbacks that can come back with that, because you're not going to see all these. You wouldn't be able to see all these. Quick transfers, and free transfers that we're seeing now. They're going to be held to more of a commitment. So that was my first thought.
Mm. Yeah, this is I to tell you the truth, until I saw this story, I was like, I thought that was a dead deal because the money, the options now are like limitless in terms of the
Right.
way institutions might think about it. So I hadn't even thought about it. I was like unionization. That was like off my radar as even a thought. And when I saw this, I was like, wow, okay, that's an interesting take right now when the landscape is pretty wide open for what you could probably do at an Ivy League school. You can get in the game a little bit. Again, you're not trying to compete against LSU, but you're leveraging your network, which is those institutions have some of the most powerful networks in the world. So how can you leverage those in ways that can really benefit your athletes in ways that would be, move things forward. So we'll keep our eye on this and where it goes. Obviously, like you said, there's more layers to this. It's. I think this is going to ramp up pressure. I've said this from day one when we started the show. I said this is going to end up having some congressional intervention, and it's gonna happen.
Mhm.
It's starting to ramp up. Yeah, I know they've been focused more on the student athletes, but you got coaches getting $200,000, moving, as part of their packages. You have public universities. There's a lot gonna be need to be. It's a mess, but I'm okay with that. All right, I like a little attention. I like to see that go on a little bit all the way. So we'll keep it checking. Now we're gonna get into the hate game. Like there's a get off my lawn stuff. I saw this interview. I saw the interview with Sheryl Swoops and when she was talking about Caitlin Clark, and I was like, come on, Sheryl, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. First of all, she got the age wrong. Says she was like 25. She only 22. Was talking about the number of years she would be able to do it versus Plum. She actually going to do it in fewer games than Plum, right? Because to me, it's like how many games do you do it in? I'm not concerned about the years. How many games did you do it in? And it feels like I know a lot of the stuff we're dealing with, but she ain't gonna be able to do nothing at the WNBA level. Am I reading too much in this? What's up with the hate? I'm like, talk to me, Hammer. What's up with the hate on this one? This one pushed over a little bit too much. I'm like, she's giving people the
Well,
business.
I think sadly, I think you and I know Sheryl Swoops because of the fact that we grew up with her.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just hate right now. There's benefits that Caitlin Clark gets as let's be real, she's a white woman in a predominantly black sport, and she's popular. She came into Madison, the place was sold out for women's basketball games. So yeah, there's hate, and it's unfortunate that Sheryl aired her dirty laundry out. People see she's a hater, but it's human nature. I think you know that. Sadly, that people yearn for others, and people want what other people have, and I'm sure Sheryl looking at the fact that if she were in this era right now, she'd be making big money, but she wasn't. And yeah, she paved the way for the Caitlin Clarks of the world to succeed. But again, she's not going to enjoy the spoils of the riches because it's a different era right now. And women's basketball, I remember used to watching it I used to watch the tournament, the final game, on CBS when I was growing up. Now you caught your niece on Grido. Saw her play. It was tape delay. You can see all the games you want to in all conferences. So it's just a different game right now, different environment. So Sheryl just needs to celebrate how women's basketball has come up, then hate on the people that are happening right now. It's very unfortunate, but it's human nature, though. And I think it's racial too. I think if she were, I think if Caitlin Clark were black, there would not be the phenomenon that she has right now. That she's white. So
Well, but it's interesting. We've always said, I talk about the trajectory of women's college basketball, and probably about 7 years ago, I remember when I was with Marcus Flowers, who played for Cecil, game changer. It was like the game at that point felt like where men's basketball was in the late '70s, early '80s in terms of a few teams dominating, and then I feel like right now we are when remember when men's basketball was like Big East bust through the door, and you had this proliferation, right, and we started seeing the women's game. But it was also when Bird came in, and people used to say the same thing about Bird. But when I realized it was real when brothers was at the park falling away talking about Bird. That's when I said, oh, he crossed over, because at a certain point they realized he could just ball, right? There are certain things when you watch somebody play, it's like, yeah, she getting more hype than she probably should. She get that Taylor Swift stuff, but she can ball. Like like when you pulling up from 25, you just pull up from 25. And, we can talk about where you can pull up from 25. She can do this here, and she can do this in WNBA. Like that distance is the same distance. She gonna have some bite up on her body, but she ain't doing nothing she can't do. She's like what she for. So I feel like it. Now, Cecil, you've coached. the women's pro. You've seen this game for a long time. I mean, you watched Caitlin play. You watched this stuff happen. Like, is it just get off my lawn type stuff, or what's going on here? She's like, she's not gonna be able to shoot 40 times a game. I understand that.
Well,
I'm just-
couple of things about that got cleared up, but first of all, she don't shoot 40 times a game. It is 22 though, and she did have a couple of games where she threw up 30 and 31 and 32. So she was getting close to 40, but that was an exaggeration by Sheryl too. Sheryl was all over that, shooting 40 times a game, been here 6 years. She was all
25 years old.
Yeah, 25 years. She just put it all out there. But in her defense, she did say the girl can shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
And she did give her props that way. And Caitlin can shoot. I mean, hey, that's an understatement. The girl can stroke. There ain't no doubt. Is her game going to translate in the league eventually? I agree a little bit with what the one reporter was saying, and even Sheryl said that. Is she going to get in the league and light it up and be all that the first year? Probably not, because the one thing I do know, if you watch women's basketball, them women can play.
Yeah, it's physical.
Yeah, they're physical, they're strong, they're quick. That's going to take some getting used to, because she's going to be up against people that are quicker than her for sure. But when you can pull out from 25 like it's a layup, that does add a little bit of dynamic to the game, and they're going to make her earn it. She'll be, she could be top player, but is she going to blow it up in her first year? No. But she's got a skill level to play the game that's going to translate in the NBA for sure. I was just trying to think of her name. Girl played at UConn a few years ago. Long, stringy kind of player. Who's had a great career, huh?
No, not Paige.
She came out by maybe 5 years ago. I was wondering how she would translate, but she was kind of lanky, 3-point shooter, got good handle kind of thing, and she's come up pretty well. So yeah, Caitlin's game is going to translate. It's going to take a little bit of time because the other thing, she got height. I don't know if people realize how tall she is. She's tall. It's a layup. I mean, you and do it consistently. You're a player, but yeah, I think part of it too is the media and everybody around Caitlin isn't helping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was watching a game the other day, and I like watching them play, even though Caitlin does some things that but I like watching her play. But the announcers only talked about Caitlin for literally 8 minutes.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about the other team came back from 12 down to make it a close game. They weren't talking about their players. They weren't talking about what they were doing. Caitlin threw up an air ball, and they talked about Caitlin's air ball for 2 minutes. I mean, that's why you get people hating on her, because everybody's this phenom, and that's where you get the Larry Bird thing. Was it Dennis Rodman that said if he was black, nobody would care? I mean, that's where a little bit of that comes from. Is that that people are just all over her, and people are like, we're getting a little tired of it. So that's where a little bit of hating comes from. People need to just let her play her game, do your reporting, stop making her the highlight of every game, and some of that stuff will subside. But like I said, the woman can play. I mean, ain't no doubt. She's gonna ball. She's gonna be in the league. A couple of years from now, she'll be an all-star. I don't have any doubts about that.
And she might move to the back page if that young lady Watkins over there at USC got things to say about it. She had 51 on them.
51,
and I'm
right?
like, and she doing it from all levels. She giving it any way you want to give it. So she getting it from. If you haven't watched it, you better watch Juju, because she giving the buckets. She did Stanford so bad they got mad and had to whoop up on who they whoop up on the next couple of days. They had to blow somebody else the next day because they had to get some get back with that. Darnell, your thoughts around this issue? you were in that generation, watching the game explode.
Yeah, you know what it is. She's hating. She sounds just like Oscar Robertson when Steph Curry was doing his thing. Oscar was saying, "Oh, yeah, he can shoot, but he wouldn't do that in our day. He wouldn't do that against us."
uh,
Yeah, that's what she sounds like. She's just like one of those old retired players that hating on the new era. But yeah, Caitlin Clark, she can hoop. She's doing her thing. But like you said, there's a lot of young women basketball players that are really out there getting it. Like Gigi Watkins, Full Wiley from South Carolina. You got dang, what's the guard from Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, oh, she,
Notre Dame,
right there, yeah,
got her
she,
name.
oh, she put, she's a freshman
Yeah,
at
she got
five
yeah.
six, giving people work. It's like,
35, 6 steals.
and I'm gonna say this, look. We all gonna say it. If y'all haven't had a chance, Sheryl Swoops can ball. like, like, like,
Oh
like,
yeah.
like. If you watch it, so if you don't YouTube, YouTuber, if you haven't, she comes from a place. She's a legend. She can ball, and she gave people buckets it all the way through her career. So we not like that, but I'm like, woo, y'all gotta let the young lady do her thing. And I agree. Like I agree with you on the way announcers are handling it. Y'all overdoing it now. Y'all
Yeah, I
overdoing
think Carl is right too. In that, and you hear it from some of the NBA players and some of the NFL players as well, is that they missed this era, even though they were the groundbreakers for it.
it.
They missed this era of getting paid.
Yep.
And there's going to be a little bit of resentment, and because like I say, Sheryl could play too. She could flat out ball. She'd be one of the highest paid players in the league if she was,
Yep.
with her game from back then. And so it's hard to see this going on and how hard you played and everything you did. And, you didn't have NILs. You didn't have contracts like this, like they're getting paid now. So,
But that's why they call you the pioneers of the game. That's what comes with it. Right? That's part of the whole deal. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. It's going to be part of the conversation, and it's a part of how all people get caught up in it. The way that Larry Bird was uncomfortable when he had to come to the press conference with Isaiah, last place he wanted to be. He'd rather be at the park balling with brothers. So that's just who he was, and so it was. It all everybody gets pulled up into this in ways that they probably not comfortable being in. We're gonna jump into just a little bit of NFL because I always got to bring this out. Can my boy Eric Bieniemy get some love, y'all? We just go whoever wants to jump in on this. I mean, man,
No, he's gonna get love because the fact is, D. Wills, he was given the opportunity to run his own show on the offensive side of the ball, and they finished 24th in the league. So he's shown again that he's a good running backs coach.
yeah, but he also came from
Let
a
me finish.
place
Let me finish.
with
Let me finish.
Kansas City
He's a good running
where they
backs coach.
struggled. It was clear they
He's a
missed it.
good. He's a good running backs coach. That's it. He'll probably
Are
go
you?
back. He'll probably go back to KC and be an offensive assistant somewhere. But the brother, I mean, I'm sorry, brother. Dan Quinn got rid of him for a reason. Kingsbury is an amazing offensive mind, not a really good coach, and Eric had his chance and failed, man.
How did he fail? He just got there,
Failed.
and
He failed, man.
I don't understand that. I don't understand your evaluation of his failure. See, this is why
No, look
brothers.
at
This is why brothers care.
24
This
D
is why
Wills,
brothers care.
24,
The
32
hold it.
team
But Cliff Kingsbury, he went from failing at Texas Tech to a head coach job at Arizona.
because he coached Patrick Mahomes. That's the reason why.
That's not the reason he failed coaching, but
Yes,
they
that's
failed.
why they hired him,
He
D.
got
Will.
fired by his alma mater,
I
and then he
know
got
that.
a
And
head coach job.
he produced
I'm not
Patrick
understanding that. I'm
Mahomes.
not understanding the logic of failure when
He coached
where
Caleb
none of the
Williams.
stuff he did before counted.
Again, bruh.
Okay, all right.
I'm not saying he's a good coach. I'm saying he's a good offensive mind. There's a big difference.
I think Eric
Mike
Bieniemy is a good
Martz
offensive
compared
mind.
to
All right, Darnell, let's jump into it. We got your positions on here.
Actually, I think I kind of agree with Carl on this one. You got to do
Uh-oh.
something. You got to do something. But the thing is, it's tough. Like you said, it's tough to judge off just 1 year. But with Kingsbury, it's not only what you're hitting at. It's the fascination with the air raid system. Like it seems like there's pockets of coaches that everybody's looking after. They always Everybody wants an air raid, either an air raid coach, somebody from the McVay tree, or somebody from the Shanahan tree. He gets that. I think he gets some of that love just from being attached to that system.
Yeah, but I think I would even break it down inside the numbers. Like, you remember how he started out? He had to address the culture over there. Guys didn't want to do stuff. They weren't holding him accountable. Then he started holding them accountable. They started playing a little bit. Then they had injuries. Like, we got to put it in context. It wasn't like it was like all fell apart. He was dealing with a whole mess over there in Washington when he got there. It wasn't just him. Like, they had to get, like, he was dealing with a mess over there.
Injuries happen in football. Brock Purdy's
man, but there's the runway to success is much different evaluated.
Two injuries. He's starting right now. 2 injuries.
They was talking about how he was handling the quarterback early on.
They had a whole
chance. He didn't do well in Colorado either. He was with.
But he did well. He didn't hold it.
And messed up Colorado.
He did well. He did well at Kansas City the whole time. With Tony as the receiver. Tony was catching balls on him, huh?
But the thing the elephant in the room is, Andy Reid is there. So how much?
Yeah, but Andy was struggling this year. Everybody's talking about him not holding people accountable. Who was holding people accountable? It was Bieniemy. Like, when they were struggling and not catching the ball, those same guys was catching the ball a year before. Why? Because Bieniemy was putting his foot in their butt. Now Tony was the great player the year before. Struggled this year. He didn't struggle under Bieniemy. Did he? Come on, y'all. Y'all got, if you're gonna give him, if you're gonna hear negative stuff, y'all gotta give him brother credit.
They couldn't call plays. So
we gonna give him brother credit. All right. Cecil probably look at this like, good luck.
I never understand why it's a business. I know. Number one, I don't know why Bieniemy left. I was surprised to hear that he left. So I'm looking for a potential, maybe get out from under Andy, get out from under that, I guess. See what he could do somewhere else. I'm always against somebody being let go in 1 year. I'll just be honest with you. I just don't get that. I don't think that's reasonable. Like you say, injuries happen and those kind of things happen, but that team letting somebody go after 1 year, 20, I never get that. Never understand that. I always, and again, he might have been under Andy's shadow and that type of thing, but yeah, I never understand that.
Well,
Quinn was his own guy. He wanted.
Yeah, I understand that.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but the NFL is not for long, brother. You're not going to be.
It's not for long for brothers. Yeah,
I mean, so it's not for long for brothers. That's how life.
It's not for long for brothers.
You gotta succeed, and there can't be excuses. Pierce
but
got
that
a job.
Don't make it right.
Raheem got
We're
a
here
job.
to question that. Our job is to question that. My job is not to go along with that. My job is to question that.
I'm not going along with it, but I'm just saying he had an opportunity and he failed. That's that simple.
Yeah, we good luck with that, Commanders. Good luck with that. With that.
Dan Quinn was a third choice, so he wasn't their top choice.
Yeah, remember that. Good luck with that, Magic. All right.
He'll probably get fired again.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right, we're gonna get to some basketball over here. It seems like no one wants to accept whatever it is. I mean, Carolina just fell tonight to Clemson, unranked team. It's just, I don't know what to do. But we'll start with both Hammer and Cecil had a chance to watch Wisconsin against Purdue. Two teams that are going to end up on one of those top 3 or 4 lines. Obviously, Purdue is going to be at the high line. Just your observations, Cecil. I'll start with you, and then come to you, Hammer.
Well, a couple of different things. I'll start with Purdue a little bit. Purdue is just methodical. I mean, they have a way of playing. We've seen them play a couple of times now. I've seen them play a couple of times, and then seen them against the Badgers. They are just methodical. You know what they're going to do. You know what their game plan is, and they played through Edey and around Edey, and it's hard because you got to pick your poison with them. You got to decide what you're going to do with them, and they're just going to do what they do. And they've got enough players around him that when they're clicking, when he's kicking out and they're hitting, they're hard to beat. But they just rinse and repeat every game. That they're just methodical. They have a system they use. If you double down on Edey, triple down on him, he's going to find somebody. And then they got all these role players around him. And this is what they do game in and game out. The Badgers are good. They got a good team. They're just trying to figure it out when they're playing their style of game, which they were early on against Purdue, and we're making some shots too. I mean, Hammer and Carl and I talked about this. They got to make shots, because they don't necessarily have the strongest inside game. Although, what's his name?
Wall.
I thought I was going to remember his name. 6'9". He had 20 points the other night.
Tyler Wall.
Tyler Wall.
Yeah, Tyler Wall. He can squirrel around down there and put some points up in the paint, but they live by the three. They live by the shots out there, and when they're hitting them, they're pretty tough. And they do have nights where somebody gets on a roll and starts hitting. I think the last few games we saw somebody got on a roll and they did pretty well. This last game, nobody really got on a roll, and like I said, Purdue is just methodical. They wear you down, they grind you down, they play D. They got good enough people. They got Vinny Microwave coming off the bench or playing with Jones, and so with Lance Jones. So they've got a machine right now, and you just got to figure out how to disrupt the machine. Otherwise, they're going to beat you.
Yeah. Purdue is if they it's like my partner is a volleyball coach. If you let them play in system, there's some volleyball teams. If you let them play in system, they're gonna get you. Purdue, if you let Purdue play in system, you done. You at their mercy. You got to make them, disrupt them, get them out, get them reacting, get Jones out of control. Get him to tap into his inner Ivy. You got to get those kind of things. And there's times where Smith will, Smith will go into a place where he'll disappear for a little. We saw him in Maui. Sometimes he'll disappear. He won't stay active, but when he's locked in, he's tough. And so you got to get him lull in that. Hammer, you had a chance to watch that. Your insights to add in here.
Purdue's a wonderful regular season team. I stress, regular season team. They're very tough regular season team. They're, like I said, methodical. Lance Jones was great, the transfer, SIU. Zach even had a bad game offensively, but he played great defensively. Said Frank Smith, and they have a nice category of people, but when it turns March, it's a different team. And so I'll leave it at that I don't think the team we saw in February is going to be the team we saw in March.
So I want to go ahead.
And then you get to the Badgers, as Brother Cecil said.
Yes.
They battle hard, but they're not as talented. And so the three is equalizer, the defense equalizer. But if you don't hit the three, they went 0 of 11 from three second half, you're going to lose. So if you're the Badgers, and you're not some team like Houston that can run up and down the court, and Kansas, blah, 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 you're Wisconsin. And the only player I saw that could really be a dog with elite players that I've seen in Wisconsin was Devin Harris. That's it. That's the only cat that I know that could go anywhere, Duke, and ball out. It basically, that's the thing that D. Wills is that it was a battling game. Badgers fought hard, but if you can't hit the three in today's basketball, any level, you're gonna lose, and that's what happened to the Badgers. So.
Yeah, and I think we've got to see more consistent play offensively and assertiveness from Chucky.
AJ
at this stage
was
in his
shooting up
career,
bricks.
he should be giving people the business, and it just seems like he is. I don't know what it is. It's not that Gar doesn't put him to do it. I think Gar wants him to do it. He needs to assert himself.
Talk about Chucky or talk about Chucky, obviously. Or?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Chucky psyched himself out, man. I mean, he went from wanting to be a shooting guard, kind of like, want to be Kyrie Irving, to now where he's just literally the facilitator. He doesn't even look for a shot. And when he shoots it, he's shooting up air balls. So he psyched himself out as far as being too much of a team player. And you have to have some selfishness in basketball to be successful, and so he's just lost. He's become selfless,
Yes.
and so that's a problem. Yeah. So for brother,
Yeah,
Chuck.
I think if Chucky can be just consistent and he can find the balance, man, he creates a whole set of problems from other teams and opens the floor up for some of these other guys because they got guys like Wall and some of these guys who can step away and play. They can play away from the hoop and open up the lane. He just doesn't take advantage of it. It's there, and he just, like you said, he's frozen. Darnell, I want to bring you in. Like we've had a chance to look at a number of teams in Maui. It's kind of our Maui check-in, and some of these teams have continued to play on this side of it and have made things happen. Have struggled. I know Cecil's going to talk about Kansas in a minute, but Tennessee is in that top five. Our man Connect is giving people the business down there in the SEC. Marquette was out of the top 10 and made their way back. I don't know where they are, but they got up as 9. They were as low as I think it's 17, and they kind of made their way back. Obviously, we just talked about Purdue. The Zags just lost to St. Mary's at the
Yep.
crib. That was that's a whole nother. So your observation of some of these teams we watched, in Maui, and the distance we've seen these teams and they've shown up later. We've seen them in the tournament. What have been some of your observations?
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of Gonzaga, but Kansas looked really good against Houston on Saturday.
Yes.
I watched that game with my dad, and Houston is a team that their system is very dogmatic. It was almost like the Earl Spence Crawford fight, where you already knew what Earl Spence was gonna do, and he has a system. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And Kelvin Sampson has kind of the same thing, where you throw it to the post. All right, he calls it monster. We're gonna double. We're gonna do it this way, and then saying we're gonna scramble out of it. Same thing with ball screens. We're gonna attack the line of scrimmage. We're gonna trap it, scramble out. And Kansas, they had the perfect game plan for it with the short roll. KJ Adams was doing work, scoring and also facilitating. They have pretty much everybody in that lineup can pass the ball and play make effectively. You saw Johnny Furphy really show up and show out in that game. He was hitting a lot of shots, rebounding, playing some defense, also slashing. So I think they've really come into their own. They've found themselves. That's going to be a dangerous team. And also, like you mentioned, Tennessee is looking really good too. And Dalton Connect, I know we saw a little bit of it in Maui, but yeah, he's shown himself to be a superstar.
I saw him in Wisconsin. I saw the game. I saw the Badger. He's an amazing player. Just amazing player.
He's legit.
He's
3-level scorer.
He's there. Cecil, I know you've been looking at trying to observe some of these teams, and we talked a little bit. The Kansas comes back and loses to Kansas State. Self said he's got 1 through 4, and I guess Saturday in that game looked like I tweeted it looked like he found 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then they came back against Kansas and it fell off. The bottom fell out. It was a tight game going on the stretch, but your observation of some of the teams we saw and where they're at right now.
Well, Kansas is my woeful team, and I like Carl. I get worried in March. They're on my as much. I'm a fan, but they're on my can't trust it list, man. We get to tournament, never fail. I just can't. I have to pick them, but I can't trust them, and they're showing signs of that now. Like Darnell said, they look good against Houston, but then they go out and play Kansas State, and Kansas State always gives them a hard time. No, they always play them tough and have beat them before too. But then they lose another one that they shouldn't, and they don't look very well. And in those games, and that he is right about that. In those games, his bench don't show up. That's usually the case, that the bench doesn't show up. He gets good play from 1 through 4, maybe one. But if his bench don't show up, they're not very good. But when they do show up, they're good. And I do still think he's got some growing pains in terms of some team chemistry in some of the games. Mm-hmm. When Kansas is on, they're tough. But like I say, I just can't trust them. Gonzaga, I looked at a little bit. They're kind of struggling. I think they're 3rd in the league right now. They're at 16-6, something like that, and lost to St. Mary, who's St. Mary's undefeated right now in that league, but still, that's unusual for Gonzaga to be, that far down in the league and struggling. And they were so bad, the fans went crazy at their last game, throwing
throwing
stuff
stuff on the court. Yeah,
or stuff on the court, almost hitting the announcers and stuff with crap going out on the court. They were so upset about it, and so Gonzaga's struggling in a lot of different ways. A man at UCLA, he's below 500 right now. I don't know if they picked up anything this weekend, but he said he was going to be bad. He said he had to get all these guys in the country and all these guys on the same page, and so UCLA, who I've followed before, they're kind of struggling. But I think these coaches were all kind of prophetic in talking about where their teams are going to be. They have a real good take on what their teams are and who they are. Marquette's a matchup thing. If a team can match up with their speed and quickness at all those other four positions, and their bigs just good enough to make people have to pay attention to them, then they're tough to beat. But if you got long and quick and strong too, that's hard for them. Yeah. And that's what they're finding out. That's why they're up and down and high up in the league. And, it depends on what stretch of games they're playing right now. And matchups are the thing with Marquette. They have to have that matchup where even if you're a little taller but not as athletic, they can get to the rim on you and do things like that. So, the teams we thought were going to do well are doing well. Some of them are surprising. But like I said, I just wish Kansas would start to get consistent here in February so I could have a little more faith in March.
Yeah, and I tried to be, and I didn't want to seem like I was a hater because he was at Michigan and transferred, Dickinson, but he's leading the league in rebounding, and he's out there doing it. But it sometimes I look at him as an energy thing, And I was trying to watch it, and I thought he played hard against Kansas State, but it's like that you need. Like, I don't know who that dog is sometimes, for them at the moment they need one. But they then played against the group of junkyard dogs on Saturday, and they just they barked and they barked louder. It's like they drive. If I'm self, they drive me crazy if I'm him because it's just like they're not consistent, and so that's the part.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that comes with like that accountability. Who's holding everybody accountable to stay focused? And you see some of that at Purdue. It's clear they got cats who hold each other accountable, even though they might not be the most gifted team all the time. Like they have the big equalizer, but they get after it every night. You can see that they are all locked in, even when they have their moments. So I don't see that with Kansas, even though Kansas is talented. So you saw the same thing with Carolina tonight. They beat Duke and then they lose to Clemson at home, a team that was 1-60 at Carolina. Like that was the record. 1-60. It came in and pretty much was running them out. It got close towards the end. So it's like, there's going to be a lot of can't trust it out there this year. Hold on to your money. Like, we're going to talk about this. We're going to have our list, y'all. Y'all can count on it. But it's going to be tough this year. We might have more can't trust it than we want to this year. It's going to be, somebody just don't put your house up. Play it safe this year. Play it safe. We're going to try to help you. All right, we'll stick into some college basketball. We'll get back to it. Let's close out with some Super Bowl talk. Jim Harbaugh always says, "Who's got it better than us?" And I'm gonna say that about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I don't know who got better than them, but I mean, she done won. She got the album of the year for the 4th time, and he might win the Super Bowl. And I started thinking about, who are those couples? And I sent y'all a list of those superstar couples. Because she's gonna be on TV the whole time messing up my Super Bowl. But that's okay. So I had a couple down here. But when you think about couples, I gave y'all a list on that list. Who's got it better than Travis and Taylor? When you think about Super Bowl couples, I sent y'all a list. Y'all have somebody y'all think got it better than them? Because right now they riding high.
No.
Who got better than them?
No, nobody.
Nobody got better than them. I'm with you. I was like, does Gabrielle and Wade got it better than them?
No.
She's worth $1 billion.
Sierra and Russell don't.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
Russell's playing his way out of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we can't say Giselle and Tom because they're no longer together. I was just trying to look. I was like, I don't know who got it better than those two. And so,
The
hey, that's
only
gonna be.
the
Go ahead.
close second is Jay-Z and Beyonce.
We're talking about
Yeah,
sports,
but we talk
sports
Oh,
and
about
Oh,
sports
sports.
couple.
okay,
I'm not
Jay-Z and Beyonce
into
above
that
you.
thing.
We're talking about
When you
Sports
talk about
couples. Nobody,
Jay-Z and
nobody,
Beyonce,
nobody
even
Yeah,
could,
better. Yeah, you
nobody
talking
could
about sports,
possibly
yeah.
have it better than them. You kidding?
ah,
I
it's
mean, she's brought people to football. He's brought Taylor Swift. Yeah, nobody.
nobody got better than that. That boy's
No,
living right. All right, except for he trying to steal a fade haircut. We're gonna talk about that later on. We can't get that to you, baby.
people who are
You got to speak
ignorant
up now.
saying
You
he
got to
had the
speak up
fade.
for
That's
the
not.
coach. You
Yeah,
for the culture.
he should denounce that. He knows
He
better. He's
he
from
know better
Cleveland.
than that.
He
He know
knows. He's
better.
from
He from
Cleveland.
Cleveland. He know better
Yeah,
than that.
he knows.
All right, Cecil, you played for them Chiefs at some point in your life. Is Patrick ready to be? Is he going to be in that GOAT conversation if he wins this time around?
He's obviously he's already in the conversation.
Yeah.
Is he going to be anointed? People are going to want to anoint him, But didn't Brady have 6?
Yeah, but you got to say Patrick. Brady didn't carry those first 3, at least first 2.5. Right? I mean, he was there, but that defense was a big part of it.
I mean, let's
Patrick,
let the
Patrick,
brother be in the
Patrick
league
carry.
before we put all time at the end of his name.
I
Yeah.
think
I mean,
That's ridiculous. I
and
mean,
I'm a
Brady made himself all time.
Mahomes fan. Okay,
Brady made himself all time because of the fact that he won a title in his first year with a new team. That's clinched it for me. Where there's not even a doubt he's the best to go, because
oh,
it's like Michael Jordan going and switching to another team and win the NBA title. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well,
yeah.
LeBron done that a couple
Yeah,
times.
That is
they
an
all,
argument to
all
be
the
had.
doubt.
I just
Yeah,
have a hard time. with. And again, that's the problem. I love Patrick Mahomes. I love Kansas City. Andy Reid, I think is he gets his due, but doesn't get as much due as maybe he should have, and compared to some other people. But I would hesitate and stay away from it, maybe because I just don't want to jinx him either. But I would stay away from it in that. I hear what you're saying. You make definitely a good point about that. But yeah, it's just me. I just have a hard time just doing that. Will he eventually be there? I know so. I know that he won't even be in part of the conversation before he's even close to his career where Brady's is. He'll be considered the greatest of all time because he's going to have more Super Bowls in a short period of time.
Darnell, I want you to take this next question. Where does this place Andy Reid as a coach in the coaching rankings?
shoot, yeah, he's building his case. I think they're both attached, right? So I guess as Patrick Mahomes, I don't think he's the greatest quarterback of all time right now, but he's building his case to where at one point he can be. And Andy Reid, he's not done yet, but I wouldn't put him above Belichick even if he won this one. And Bill Walsh is another conversation on top of that.
Yeah.
So Andy Reid, he's doing a great thing, but I still wouldn't have him number one. But he's building his case, and you got to respect that.
Yeah, and I remember watching Andy when he was at Philadelphia. I mean, Andy was a great coach. He went to that, but he used to drive me crazy because he never run the football. I'm like, you're offensive lineman. Y'all need to start running the football. He never run the football. He drive me crazy. Now he gets to Kansas City, figure out he want to run the football. He just drove me crazy over there. I mean, I went over there to check him. I was like, man, you got Donovan over there. Like, man, you could have done this for me. But we'll get back to that later. Hammer, I'm going to give you this one. Kyle Shanahan, is he Marv Levy if he loses?
yes, no question. And maybe worse because nobody expected Buffalo to win.
Yep.
He was supposed to win that Atlanta game. His OC blew that 28-3 lead.
Mm-hmm.
He lost the other one. So yeah, he definitely. I mean, he's Mr. Can't Trust It. So, Shanahan. I mean, it'd be great with Purdy, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think he definitely Kyle. Yeah, he gotta win this one, man. or they're favored to. You know, I think the prognosticators are saying KC all day. But yeah, I mean, Shanahan is a great offensive mind, and he was able to get by the debacle of Trey Lance to Brock Purdy, which saved it from Jimmy G. But he's got to win this, man. I mean, this team is stacked from top to bottom as far as they got McCaffrey too. That was really the missing piece. They got great defense, every level good. So the line's amazing, anchored by Trent Williams. So if he don't win this one, he's gonna be in the can't trust list. So obviously not get fired, but he better win this one, man. He's got a lot of pressure on him on Sunday.
All right, Darnell, I'm gonna go to this one. Brock Purdy, does he lose the game manager title if he? Which I always laugh at because I think everybody has to manage the game at some point if you're gonna be great, right? You got to manage the game plan, you got to execute it. But does he get some love? Does he move from irrelevant to relevant? Where with Brock winning this one? What do you say about Brock?
Well, for me, he already has. The last game, he showed me that he's more than a game manager. When the plays needed to be made, he made them. He used his legs, he used his arms, whatever needed to be done, he did it. So I don't think he's a game manager. He's one of those guys that can he can really make some plays for you if need be. So I'll give him respect right now.
Yeah, I've been saying that. I mean, when you get to this point, there are times when Garoppolo, Shanahan take the ball out of his hands. He's never taken the ball out of this kid's hands. Never, ever. You remember, it's almost like he had to defend Garoppolo against himself. Remember, he ran it 40 straight times. He's never taken the ball out of his hands. Even when this guy's made mistakes, there's something about him. And it's like sometimes you wait too long. I'm like, this kid got something. And I've always laughed and talk about the manager. Now, he benefited for some decision making by some other coaches on some other thing, but that had nothing to do with him. But he just capitalized on it. So
he
that's
benefited off a ball hitting the defensive player's helmet.
Sometimes preparation is what the rest of design, or in terms of luck. So let's talk about some quick thinking about the kind of the keys to victory for both these teams. As you look at this, and I'll go to you, Cecil. When you think about the keys to victory for the 49ers and Kansas City, what do you see as the keys for each of these teams? If they're doing it, you feel like they're on their way to making things happen.
Well, the 49ers have to make sure that they are put in a position to play their entire game, where Kansas City's defense is suspect, if you ask me. And if you can have your whole playbook against them, it's problematic. If you can throw and run against them, it presents problems. And they've got, with McCaffrey back there, with him being able to catch out of the backfield, being able to run, move him around and do things, that's going to be fits for Kansas City. Now, if the Chiefs jump on them and put them in a position where they have to be a little bit more single purpose, then that's where their defense is strongest. They know how to rush and keep you contained, and they do a good job in the secondary when they know that that you're in a position where you're throwing all the time. And so, but if you got your whole playbook, they have to put themselves in a position where they can use their whole playbook the whole game, and that'll kind of nullify their defense. Their defense against Mahomes, hey, first they're going to have to shut down Pacheco. They're going to have to make sure. That's the thing that's helped Kansas City, and it helped them not just from the standpoint of their game plan, but ball possession. It's helped them. Keeping the ball. They kept the ball out of people's hands. Long drives, make people get a little, and scoring at the end of them. And they did that before in the other games, only they end up with field goals instead of touchdowns, which made it a little bit harder. But that possession game that they play with Pacheco, the little dink and dunks that they throw, you notice they're not throwing deep down the field a whole lot. They're just doing a little dinks and dunks, first downs here, first down there, run Pacheco. And if they get into a rhythm like that and they're eating up the clock, that puts that pressure on San Francisco, where they think they've got to score fast. So Kansas City has to stay with that routine of what they're doing, take a strike downfield every so often. If they can get into that rhythm, then they're going to be hard to beat. but it's Mahomes too. And like you say, Brock Purdy's not a game manager. I don't even know what that means. I don't. They threw that term out there. I don't know. Somebody made that up and it sounded good. He's a quarterback, and he's a winning quarterback. Plain and simple. The guy can play football. Mahomes can play football. Okay. And sometimes he can make stuff happen. Him and Kelsey seem to make stuff happen that nobody else can. That's the other thing. I'm curious to see how San Francisco is going to guard, how they are going to cover Kelsey. How these people keep letting him get so open, I have no clue. I don't know if he's smart, what it is, but somehow he always seems to get open when they need it. And so they're going to have to do something to kind of balance that out too, because he's always going to be Mahomes' go-to. So that's what I think. I think they have to San Francisco has to control the ball, control the offense, and keep Mahomes off the field. And the Chiefs have to be able to move the ball like they have been, eat up the clock, and put some pressure on San Francisco.
All right. Hammer, your keys for both teams.
The key you talked about with KC, first of all, Big Red understand he had to run the ball to win the title. And so you have to, running is still fundamental. I don't care. This West Coast offense, air raid, the running game is the linchpin. And so it might be unpopular. I always thought Pacheco was the MVP of this league, because Pacheco could ball. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run, tackles, run. He sets up the table. Obviously, Mahomes is a superstar, but without Pacheco, this offense doesn't run. And Cecil broke it down, too, as far as you look at the wide receivers right now, lack of them. I mean, Rashid's balling, but the rest of them, Valdez-Scantling is an invisible man. He's on the milk carton, missing man. And he got all his money and he's disappeared. So also he's been great, as we said, but that's the key is Pacheco. And then with San Francisco, the key to them is I think this is a time where I think Brock's going to have to be a game manager because of the fact that I think Debo and Space and McCaffrey are the keys to this to winning, especially McCaffrey. McCaffrey gives them another dimension as far as his being able to catch the ball in the backfield. He runs violently, and Debo also can get in the eye and run, be a running back as well as get in space and catch the ball vertically. And so that's the main thing. I think that really, I think the back's gonna be the key to this game. Everyone's gonna get, it's gonna be popular, and everyone's gonna be jump up and down when the pass goes, but the pass is set up by the run, and both these coaches understand that, and that's gonna be the key to this game. And Steve talked about, you help your defense by running the ball and churning the clock and keeping your defense off the field, not just passing the ball incessantly where you are letting your defense suffer and stay on the field too long. So I think both these coaches get it, but I think in the end, KC's going to win it. So.
All right, you're getting prediction, but I'll come back. So you know your prediction. All right, Darnell.
All right. So for Kansas City, they're going to have to stop the run. Like Cecil said, you have to make them choose. Are they going to be a run team? Going to be a passing team? You can't give them both because it's going to cause a lot of problems. So you got to stop the run, and a lot of DBs do what they do because when it gets third and long, you got Trent McDuffie back there, you got L'Jarius Sneed. They can really lock down man to man. So you got to stop that run. You got to take away Brock Purdy's legs, right? Everybody goes into the game thinking, all right, he just a game manager. He's not going to take off and scramble, you know what I'm saying? But he surprised a lot of teams, and he can really take off and go and grab those extra first downs, extend plays. If they can keep him in the pocket, make him play quarterback, make him stay on schedule, I think they'll be in good shape. On the 49ers side of things, got to stay balanced. Keep the ball on the ground, run the ball, and then when the fourth quarter comes, let Brock Purdy do his thing. So I think it's going to be a great game. I know we're getting to predictions a little bit later, but I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I think y'all all made good points. I think San Francisco's got to play ahead of the chains. They got to be in. They got to be in second and short, where they can, like you. I think Cecil, you're talking about they can play their entire playbook. That's where they give you problems. That's where Shanahan gets in his bag. If you see them in second and 8, you see them at third and 6. Now they're eating into Kansas City's game plan as well. And then I think Kansas City keeps doing what they're doing, playing that ball control. I saw something today when they were trying to break down. Kelsey's getting open because they're using those tight bunches, so they make it harder to bump him, and they're creating all those directions, and they're able to get him. And they, depending on how you're playing him, they either setting it up so he can get inside or he can get outside, and so they've settled into those formations where it's hard to get hands on him, and it's hard to double him, and they're getting the ball to him quicker and letting him run. So, those kind of things. If Kansas City can continue to do that, they're going to be successful. And then if the 49ers can stay ahead of the chains, and which is going to allow them to play their entire playbook. Okay, Hammer said Kansas City. Darnell, who do you got?
I got Kansas City as well. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to show. Well, I'm not going to start. I'm going to start with Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to start with the defense because the defense, they've been balling all playoffs. They've been giving up an average of 5 points a game. I mean, they've been balling. I got to give credit where credit is due. And Patrick Mahomes, he makes the timely plays when they need a first. When they need a first down, when they need to score, he's going to make the right play. Kittle, like you said, not Kittle. Kelsey, he's going to get open. So I got Kansas City taking it.
All right, Cecil, who you got?
Oh, Kansas City.
I know that from your roots. Hey, I got it. I mean, so you can't mess with my homie. I already see it. They don't set this thing up. The confetti gonna be coming down. Taylor gonna be there. Travis gonna be there. Jason gonna be there with his shirt off. It's Andy Reid gonna be there eating pizza. We're gonna get more commercials, man, and we're gonna be asking a lot of questions about Shanahan. It's just what it is. He's been playing with fire for these past 2 games, and it's about to get burned. It's just kind of how it's getting, and it's just the feeling you get when you got a guy that's a legend. He's not gonna be denied. He's gonna figure out how to make it happen. He's too close, and so. But I think Purdy will play a great game, but it's gonna be Kansas City. All right, we're gonna give away some flowers, y'all. And so. We'll start with. I'll start out. I want to give flowers to Carl Weathers, man. Apollo Creed. I'm a Rocky fan. You look at all my stuff, and it's not just what he did in the first couple Rockies, but my favorite one is Rocky 3. When he was the manager and coaching Rocky, and one of my things I used to say, I've been one time to the field, there is no tomorrow. That used to be my theme because it's like you got to take it. I watch Rocky 3 on a regular basis all the time, but I loved his role and all the work that he did, but him being tied to like one of my favorite movies and series of Rocky, and obviously the Creed series being built off of him, but just the other work that he did. But just he's gonna be missed, man. When I saw that, I was like, wow, just the impact that he had. So this is to you, my man. See you on the other side. All right, Darnell.
All right, so since it's Black History Month, I'm gonna hit you with a Black History drop the mic, right? So I'm gonna talk to you guys today about the old master, Joe Gans. Joe Gans was the first Black boxing champion in history. He won his championship in 1902, right? He fought a total of 199 professional fights with a record of 147 wins, 10 losses, and 16 draws. So that goes to show back then they fought, and they fought often. And not only did he fight often, he once fought 2 times in one day. He fought for the championship, and somebody called him out, and he said, I know I don't duck no smoke. We can fight tonight. And he beat him too in 10 rounds. Joe Gaines, he was one heck of a fighter, a great man out of Baltimore, Maryland. A great story. So I'm gonna drop the mic by giving my flowers to the old master, Joe Gaines.
Wow. See, Darnell, the historian, man. I told you, man, that degree, history, sports. I'm telling you, PhD. We'll talk about that later. You got that old soul, man. All right, Hammer.
I'm gonna give premature flowers, but I'm gonna give them apropos. Give my flowers to Andy Reid. I think it's gonna be Andy Reid's last game coaching. If they lose, which I don't think they lose, he will come back. But Andy Reid has made an innovative game as far as offense. Is a guy that they laughed at when he was hired from Green Bay as quarterbacks coach because he didn't call plays, and then he's turned to the preeminent play caller in the league. And so, with his football acumen as far as getting Patrick Mahomes when everyone thought that Mitch Trubisky was the top quarterback and Sean Watson was, get Patrick Mahomes, the guy we know is the son of a baseball player, become a tremendous quarterback, as well as just Travis Kelce and the defense, and really just brought a working mentality and championship excellence to a KC franchise that has had not that much success. It was a long time ago. Len Dawson had success. And so he's able to bring back a championship culture there. And a guy that people doubted because he couldn't win the big game in Philly because, like D. Will said, he wouldn't run the ball. He was able to readjust his West Coast offense to add the running game and innovate NFL and have a nice tree of his own. And so I'll give my flowers to Andy Reid. I think we'll be a Super Bowl champion on Sunday.
All right, and we'll end with the coach, our brother, Cecil Youngblood.
Well, I'm new to this process, and I really deeply appreciated what everybody said. And so, but my flowers tonight go out to D. Will for providing this opportunity and this platform for all of us to do and talk about what we love in a way that we wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. The opportunities for brothership, for brotherhood and sharing, and just that good feeling that we need around sports and around just being Black men. And so appreciate that. It's enhanced my life. Blessed to be able to be a part of it. And so that's why I give my honor and my flowers to you, my man, and continued success in everything that you're doing, and blessings to your family.
Thank you, brother. It's good to have you in. It's my reason for doing this was it was a way to stay connected to my friends and my family, and it served that purpose. People like, where are you going with this? The beauty of this, I get to do something with friends and family. So thank you. I appreciate that. We are looking forward to hanging with y'all, bringing this group together and more. Please, again, follow us on realsportsguys.com and Real Sports Guys on all our platforms. It's good to be here. If you like what you hear, give us a 5. As Bomani Jones would say, if you don't, we're going to consider you a hater, and we'll be okay with that. We still give you love, but we will see you on the other side.
Hey, yo, Neil. Hey, what's up? I got you. Yeah. Free my brother.